Hello, and welcome to Tim's Reflections from Ohio, a YouTube video series where we talk about and reflect on parables and stories that Jesus told, as well as general stories from his life. Last week's video had the title, Loving the Down and Out. And this week it will be Loving the Down and Out Part 2. And I want to remind us of a little bit about what we talked about last week. We talked about how Jesus was our example of loving those people who society looked at as down and out, the outcasts of society. And in Matthew chapter 8, in verse 3, a leper had came to Jesus, a man with leprosy. Leprosy was looked at as the finger of God at that time by society. And no one wanted to be even near a leper, let alone touch a leper. And it says, this man came to him in verse 2 and said, Lord, if you're willing, you can make me clean. And verse 3 says, Jesus put out his hand and touched him, saying, I am willing, be cleansed. So Jesus not only cleansed this man, he touched him. He loved down and out. In chapter 9 of Matthew, we read in verse 10, Jesus had called Matthew, the tax collector, to be one of his disciples. It says in verse 10, Now it happened, as Jesus sat at the table in the house, that behold, many tax collectors and sinners came and sat down with him and his disciples. And when the Pharisees saw it, they said to his disciples, Why does your teacher eat with tax collectors and sinners? Jesus was not afraid to sit down at the table with tax collectors and sinners, to eat with them, and to fellowship with them. And then there's another place in the Gospels where we read about Jesus and the woman at the well. And he said to her, Go and call your husband. And she said, I don't have a husband. And Jesus said, You've said right. You don't have a husband, but you have had 5 husbands, and the man you have right now is not your husband. So Jesus was not afraid to be seen talking with this woman who had been married 5 times and was living with a man now that she wasn't married to. Jesus wasn't afraid to talk to her and to help her and to encourage her. And sometimes we think that we are not sure how to reach out to these people that society looks at as the down and out, to love the down and out. But I ran across a story this week, and it illustrates a little girl and what she did to help those who were down and out. And I read this and I thought, I've got to share this in a video. And it's in a book called Tales to Inspire, published by the Uncle John's Bathroom Reader. Now, please don't be put off by that title. It's a series of books that are full of trivia type things. Trivia type, and they're broken down by topics. They've got tons of books. And it's just interesting trivia type things. But this one caught my attention because it's called Tales That Inspire. It's full of inspirational stories, people that have overcome obstacles in their life. And this story is called Ladybugs. And I want you to pay attention. It's about a little girl named Hannah Taylor. And I want you to pay attention to Hannah's age when the story starts. If we as adults think that we should be exempt from helping others, look at the age of Hannah. It begins by saying, identifying the problem. In 2001, 5-year-old Hannah Taylor saw a homeless man eating out of a garbage can on a cold day in Winnipeg, Manitoba, and it made her sick to her stomach. A few weeks later, she saw a woman carrying everything she owned piled in a grocery cart. As she noticed more and more homeless people, she told her mother that it made her sad and asked why people had to live this way. Colleen Taylor didn't know how to answer, but she gave her daughter some advice. If you do something to help solve the problem, it might make you feel better. Hannah's response, if more people knew about homelessness And if they shared what they could, it might help. And it says, starting small, Hannah got to work. First, she composed and delivered a speech on the issue to her first grade class. Then she started asking her teachers, friends, classmates, and family members for their spare change, which she put in homemade ladybug jars. Baby food bottles painted red and black. Hannah says ladybugs are good luck. This spare change collection drive soon turned into a formal organization called the Ladybug Foundation. With the help of her parents, Hannah made more ladybug jars, hundreds of them, and put them in stores around Winnipeg to collect more change. She gave all the money she collected to local shelters and charities that fed, clothed, and housed the homeless. The operation extended. Hannah started selling red and black bracelets and fleece scarves to raise more money. In 2005, Hannah expanded her foundation again, this time into British Columbia, where 2,000 ladybug jars, all still homemade by volunteers, were distributed with the help of local GT Hiring Solutions. At the age of 10, in less than 5 years, Hannah had raised $500,000 for the homeless. When she's not in school, Hannah now tours Canada, speaking to crowds about how important and easy it is to help. And though she may be young and idealistic, she's aware of the many challenges faced by the homeless, including substance abuse and mental illness. It doesn't exactly matter, she says. They are great people wrapped in old clothes with sad hearts. Don't be afraid of them. Be kind to them. If they're cold, share your mittens. If they're hungry, give them a sandwich. If they're sad, give them a smile. This little girl started this at 5 years old, first grade. And she, by the time she was 10, so in 5 years, she had raised $500,000 to help the homeless. Those of us seem helpless as adults. This little girl didn't let her young age hold her back in helping others. And I encourage you to pray about, think about what you can do to love the down and out. If you didn't see last week's video, please go back and see it and think about the things that were reflected on and talked about there. Think about this video. Think about what you can do. Is there a way for you to get involved in your community? I know there are churches in different communities that have food giveaways and have I know there's a church in my area that has a what's called a blessing box, where there's just food in there, and I've seen Christian books in there where people can leave. If it says, take what you need, leave what you can. There's a sign saying that on the box, where you can, if you have some extra cans of food, you can leave them in there. If you need some stuff, you can take what you need. It's a way to reach out and help those who are down and out. There's another church that I know of that once a month they give away free groceries, and they give away hundreds of bags of groceries every month. There are churches that give away free clothing to those who are in need. Find some way to reach out and help others. Find some way to show God's love to others. Find some way to love the down and out. That's it for the video today. Thank you as always. Thank you so much for viewing. Thank you for taking your time. And if you've been blessed by the reflection, if you've been blessed by the story of this little girl, please hit that thumbs up button. Leave a comment. I always enjoy reading those comments. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so that you'll receive notification as new videos come out in the future. Have a blessed week, and remember that God loves you. He loved you so much, He sent His Son to die for you and for me. Have a blessed week.